Welcome back, everyone. It's Charlie. The spice must flow. They finally released the official Dune 3 trailer. There's so many Easter eggs and references to the book, so we will break it all down. I know there's going to be a ton of questions about Robert Pattinson's new character and what they're going to do with the films after this. Like, will they do Children of Dune after this, then God, Emperor Dune? Will they just continue through the books? Like the previous movies, it's titled Dune Part 3, but it's based mostly on the plot of the Dune Messiah novel, maybe some aspects of Children of Dune, and they're referring to it as the conclusion, the epic conclusion, because it's meant to be the conclusion of the Paul Atreides arc of the story in the current creative team and most of these actors. So this means if they continue the movies with either Children of Dune or God Emperor Dune, if they jump straight to that in the next movie, it'll represent the beginning of a totally new arc with a new creative team, some returning characters, but mostly new characters, especially once they get to God Emperor Dune, because they cover so much of the timeline in that particular novel. There's also the Dune Prophecy TV show that they're doing on HBO Max. It is meant to be a prequel to this current Dune movie. It's connected to the Dune movies right now, but it's set 10,000 years ago in the past. Just starting at the beginning of the trailer footage and working our way through shot by shot, talking about Easter eggs and the many WTF moments, there's a lot of really messed up stuff that has happened between the end of Dune Part 2 and the beginning of this movie. It's a 12-year time jump, and as you see, Chani is pregnant with Paul's children. They think it's only one child, though, but technically it winds up being two. The opening titles here with like the legendary logo and the Warner Brothers logo is meant to represent the spice. The spice must flow. We see what looks like Paul inside one of the sieges caressing some of the water. We see them humming, he and Chani humming, talking about their coming child. Then the scene of them talking about their child is in a completely different place, but they say if it's a girl, they'll name it Ganima, and if it's a boy, they'll name it Leto II after his father. They cut in a real quick shot of Paul using a wind device to glide around the sand dunes. We see another shot of Chani, and it's meant to be one of the visions that Paul saw in the previous movies. A lot of what he saw comes to pass in this movie, and things that he's obviously seeing in the future and the distant past. It's all the timeline that he's bridging with all of his powers, but a lot of things that happen in this movie, they set up with visions that he had in the first movie. So that part of the idea is this being a trilogy. The trilogy is meant to pay off arcs that they set up at the beginning of the story. You also get a much better shot of Paul inside the siege, and you notice that he has shaved his head as well, too. But in the shot of them talking about their coming child, he still has hair. So you notice there's a bit of a time jump during the actual movie itself. There's a real quick shot of a bunch of Fremen warriors jumping off of a ship in the middle of an attack. This is meant to be a reference to a lot of the genocide that goes down in Paul's name. Many terrible things wind up being done in his name over the 12-year time jump between the events of Dune Part 2 and this movie. 61 billion die, 90 sterilized planets, 40 religions entirely destroyed, in the subjugation of 10,000 worlds, all in the name of Muad'Dib, Paul Atreides. The actual story of Dune Messiah and the movie largely center around different groups conspiring to undo Paul's rule with complex plots, because all these different groups think that what he's doing is absolutely terrible for humanity. While Paul is struggling with his identity as this Messiah and what he needs to do to lead humanity on the best possible timeline, because he can see what the best possible timeline is, but some of the things that need to happen that he needs to bring about to get humanity on that best possible timeline are things that he's reticent to do. So he's caught in a kind of prescient trap. It is one of the very few weaknesses that he actually has because of all of his vast powers. He's basically a prisoner of his own power. What if you knew exactly what to do in order to achieve the best possible outcome, but you were afraid to actually do the things that you needed to do to achieve that outcome? And obviously the other biggest part of the story is the birth of Paul and Chani's children, Ganima and Leto II. When she mentions Leto II having the wisdom of his grandfather, you also notice that he has his signet ring in his hand too. Paul did become the next duke after his father's death, but he became emperor at the end of Dune Part 2, so he is Emperor Paul Atreides right now. But the other clever foreshadowing here is the idea that Paul would pass his title and the signet ring to Leto II, his son, after he winds up dying eventually. Also, when Chani references him having the wisdom of his grandfather, that's also a sly wink at the idea that Leto II is also born with all the same powers as Paul. He passes the same prescient powers to him. So he's also literally born with the wisdom of his grandfather, like he literally has his grandfather's memories. When he says war feeds on itself, there's a montage of him on different battlefields referencing all the subjugation of these 10,000 different worlds, like all these different dead people that die at his hand and because of him. We get a new shot of Alia Atreides, his sister, who is now grown and looks like the vision that he had of her in the second movie when she was talking to him. Remember, she is the abomination that the Bene Gesserit spoke of because she was born with all the full awakened mind of a Bene Gesserit mother and powers. And part of the reason why the Bene Gesserit were so worried about that happening to a baby is because of what happens when you're consumed by all the past memories. Potentially, there's the worry that one of those past memories could take over your mind and possess you. When we saw her speaking to Paul during Dune Part 2, that hadn't really started to happen yet. They just made her seem very creepy, like, wow, she's speaking with like an adult voice, but she's a tiny little fetus inside her mother's belly. She hasn't even been born yet. Over the past 12 years, as she's matured and she looks like a full-on adult now, that madness has slowly started to creep in and mess with her mind. And one of the other big reveals of Dune Part 2 you find is that Paul and his sister Alia are the grandchildren of Baron Harkonnen. So one of the big subplots during the story, during this movie, is that Baron Harkonnen's past memory tries to take over Alia's mind and potentially come back, like worst possible person in this very powerful body. This is why in the official poster for the movie for Alia, it seems like she's screaming mad. Within the Fremen, though, because of her Bene Gesserit status, her powers, she becomes also a very important figure to their people. We get another montage of a bunch of the different Fremen wars across many different planets, many different types of terrains.
I'm doing the best I can to protect my family.
I'm not totally sure which ship this is. This might be the Bene Talaxlu. They also become heavily involved in this story as part of one of the conspiracy plots to get rid of Paul. We get a real quick shot of him talking to his mother. Notice he still has hair. He's still wearing the outfit that his father wore as Emperor now. And he's talking to her about the current state of the universe. The more he fights, the more people fight back, and that's a reference to all the different conspiracy plans that rise up against him to try and get rid of him. Which is also why they cut to the Bene Gesserit and Irulan, who is also part of one of the major plots to get rid of Paul and to stop Chani from becoming pregnant and having babies. One of the big things about the story is that even though he was forced to marry her, he doesn't love her, so he's never lain or consummated the marriage with Irulan, and she's really pissed off about this, because as a Bene Gesserit, her big thing is wanting to continue the line of the Kwisatz Haderach through her genealogy, basically have a baby with Paul that will continue the line of the Kwisatz Haderach, but he doesn't want to have a baby with her. So Irulan has been poisoning Chani to try and keep her from getting pregnant. Paul knows this, but Paul has also seen in his visions that Chani dies if their baby is born, or babies potentially. He still thinks that it's just one baby because of his visions. So part of the idea is that he allows that to continue, Irulan's plan to continue to poison Chani, because it means if Paul is able to delay Chani having a baby, potentially she will live for longer and he's afraid to lose her, which is part of the trap that he is stuck in, his prescience trap. We finally see a new shot of Robert Pattinson as Scytale. He's a Talaxlu face dancer and is responsible for one of the major plots to kill Paul Atreides using Duncan, Idaho's Ghola called Hate, and that's what we're looking at here inside this. That is how Jason Momoa comes back as a Ghola. Part of the idea is that their group has a joint effort with the Bene Gesserit and the Spacing Guild to use this Ghola as Duncan, Idaho and get it to try and get close to Paul and kill him. So it winds up becoming the second major plot to get rid of him. There are three major ones that happen during the story. There are a couple quick montages of them going across the planet, more Alia Atreides, more of them warring with other cultures. We get a real quick shot of Stilgar during this scene too. He's a part of the story as well. We get the rest of Paul's conversation with his mother, and she also jokes that his father wasn't involved in anything quite so big, like he didn't start any giant war across the entire universe like this. Part of the idea is that he's in unprecedented territory, like there is no model for this for him to follow, like no example for him to follow. He only has all of his abilities to see all potential futures and everyone's previous memories. I believe this real quick shot of someone preaching to all these people is Alia. She becomes a cult-like figure as well too. We get another montage, more war happening in the background. My assumption is this ship entering this place here is also part of the Bene Talaxlu plot with Duncan, Idaho, Ghola.
Finally.
We get another shot inside a throne room with someone in white. I believe this is also meant to be Alia. Then they reveal Duncan, Idaho's Ghola to Alia, and part of the idea is that they fall in love and they have a relationship during this story. We get a real quick shot of Paul fighting against the Ghola, just like they used to when he was still alive. Another quick shot of Irulan, then of Scytale walking through all the people here on Arrakis. A couple more battle scenes, couple more big explosions in the background, like a lot of war going on in the background, a lot of different plots. Then Paul walking up to a dais to address all of his followers because he is their Messiah. Not totally clear who he's talking to when he says, "I'm not afraid to die, I must not die yet." Part of the idea is that he wants to see the birth of his children, he doesn't want to see Chani die, and he wants to put humanity along the best possible timeline, the golden path. So there's all these things that he wants to bring about before he actually dies. And you also notice the different title that they're using here, the actual screen. It looks like the iris of an eye, but there's gold around it too. I think that's meant to be a reference to the golden path and Paul's vision of the future, as well as his ability to see all the past too, like he can see all of space and time. He is prescient. You also notice the title treatment too in the Dune logo has the 3 lines. It's 3 dashes without the eclipse. Like you saw in the logo for Dune 1, it's 1 dash with the total solar eclipse. Dune Part 2 was 2 dashes and a partial solar eclipse. 3 dashes for Part 3 without the eclipse. The idea is that the sun has come out across all the movies and the moon is then going to fall. And in Dune Messiah, the book, Paul keeps getting visions throughout the book about the moon falling, only to later understand that the moon is a representation of Chani. There's a lot going on during the trailer here, though. It's just meant to be the teaser trailer, so it's just meant to give you vibes of the movie. The next big trailer will be more of a story-based trailer, and we'll see more of what's actually going on in the movie, and whether or not they do jump forward and adapt some of the plot from Children of Dune, or if they're just doing the Dune Messiah book. My assumption is there might be like a couple things from Children of Dune for Alia's plot, at least. Everybody post all your reactions in the comments below, and if you think you spotted any Easter eggs or references in the trailer that I didn't talk about in the video, just write them below in the comments. What'll happen is they'll release more trailer footage later this year, so I'll do more videos as they do release more of that footage. But we also have a Spider-Man Brand New Day trailer coming this week. Of course, I'll do videos for that. Invincible Season 4 episodes starting, then Daredevil episodes next week, as well as The Boys Season 5 episodes. So be sure to enable alerts for my channel so you don't miss all that stuff. There is a lot happening. Everybody click here for my Spider-Man Brand New Day trailer, and click here for all my other Dune videos. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.